Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Thursday, the 8th day of March, year of our Lord 2018. Welcome to the John Moore Show. It's, I wouldn't call it breaking news, but the headline on Drudge right now has to do with the special counsel, special investigator Mueller, looking into the possibility that Eric Prince, the head of Blackwater, which has changed names several times, the private security firm, arranged a meeting with people related to the Trump campaign to the Russians after Donald Trump got elected. After he got elected. That's not news at all, but we can talk more about that. Prepper tip of the day. I want to encourage you, all of you, to make sure every member of your team has, listen carefully, I've never mentioned this before, an inflatable life jacket. An inflatable life jacket. The better ones you can inflate by mouth or with a CO2 cartridge where you just pull on a lever or a handle and they self-inflate. It could be a matter of life and death to have one if you're doing operations around water. Falling into a body of water wearing 50 or 60 pounds of equipment is not a good thing. But the inflatable life jacket would probably save your life in that kind of situation. We have a patient waiting in the green room, my friend Tim Spencer. Tim is a husband, a father, a grandfather, a rancher, veteran of the United States Navy Submarine Corps, where he was, in fact, a submariner and a bubblehead, and proprietor of the excellent website ruralsurvival.info. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, John. How you doing this morning, buddy?
Outstanding. Looking forward to a sunny, late winter day. But all things considered, compared to what they got up in the Northeast, I'm not complaining. How about you?
No, not a bit. In fact, I opened the front door as I scooted down the stairs to get myself some coffee this morning, and it is truly beautiful out there. It's cold, but it's beautiful.
It is, absolutely. Well, Tim, there's two things I want to cover today. We'll start with the non-matter of Eric Prince and what they're talking about there, and then move on to what Mike Adams is doing with launching a new platform. I was talking to my lovely wife, Dr. Moore, this morning about Eric Prince, and I told her that it's expected, it's normal. What's supposed to happen is when a new president is elected, is to immediately open up lines of communication with the major powers, such as Russia, China, England, France, Germany. That's expected. That's normal. That's what's supposed to happen, isn't it?
That is correct. Absolutely.
So why is it news? Why is it news?
I think because one of the parties lied to Congress about it. I think that's their point, not the fact that the meeting occurred. But
well, the allegations here is that Eric Prince was at a luxury resort, and Prince claims he had a spontaneous, non-scheduled meeting with this individual who was supposed to make the connection with the Russians. What's at controversy is whether Eric Prince's meeting was spontaneous or arranged in advance. Now, if Eric Prince was lying about his meeting being spontaneous as opposed to being an arranged meeting, to me that's a big so what. How about you?
Well, it is to me too. It really is. But there's a headhunting party after the entire Trump administration led by Mr. Mueller, and if they can dig up something that even sounds like it's wrong or illegal, they're going to try to do it, John. They're going to try to nail him no matter what. It doesn't make any difference if it was right or wrong or legal or illegal. They're going to come up with a reason.
Well, what they're doing, in the eyes of people who understand how our system works, how the world works, more appropriately, how the world works, what's proper, what should be done, they're making themselves look like complete fools.
Yeah, they are. When you and I were in, if we met or had a beer with or whatever with a Russian agent or even a Russian sailor or soldier, we went back to the command, filled out a contact report, and that was the end of it. Big deal.
Right.
I've shared a lot of beer with a lot of Russians. Never got in trouble for it. Never was considered doing anything wrong.
Right. Well, that was not part of anything I was involved with. On one hand, on the other, uh, uh, the responsibility of an active duty military person is a bit different than the transition team. The moment Donald Trump announced he had won the election and Hillary Clinton had grudgingly conceded,
Yeah.
that was a moment that everything changed. That was a moment that the candidate became the soon to be take office president of the United States of America. That's the moment that everything changed. That the president was supposed to commence acting like president, as opposed to acting like a candidate who may or may not be president. Now, Eric Prince lives in the shadows. I've known many men like Eric Prince, and
Yes.
I've known and met and talked to people that know Eric Prince firsthand. I have not met or talked to Eric Prince myself, but I know men who've worked with him and were part of his organization at one time. He's the real deal. He is the real deal.
Oh yeah, he is the real deal. No question about that.
And people have very strong opinions about him and Blackwater. That's expected. On one hand, on the other, if he was used as a go-between to set up communications, this transition period. Let's back up a bit. From the moment the election was conceded to Donald Trump, to the day he rose his right hand and put his left hand on the Bible there in front of the U.S. Capitol, those days and weeks is what's called the transition period, aren't they, Tim?
Yes, that is correct.
So during that period of time, Donald Trump was not president of the United States on one hand. On the other, he was taking on the responsibilities of president and preparing to be the leader of the free world, as we frequently call the President of the United States, take on all these responsibilities. And part of that, as you and I mentioned earlier, was to establish lines of communication with the major powers. That's expected, that's normal, that's what has to happen, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, I think we've whipped that puppy enough for this morning, myself. What do you think?
Oh, I agree.
Okay. You and I were talking privately earlier this week about what Mike Adams, the health ranger, was going to be doing. The announcement is out now. His new...
I believe it is. I've got a link here in my email that I haven't opened yet this morning.
Okay.
But yeah, I believe it is.
Well, I already signed up to be part of his beta testing. The website is real.video. Real.video.
Okay.
It appears to be cutting edge technology that will accomplish our goal in the Patriot community of having a platform that will be free to the people providing content like myself and you, and also free to the users. And I don't understand the technology involved in this. That's not my expertise. All I know is what he states, which I believe to be accurate and true, is that the reason they can do this is the people making use of the service also provide the server space for the service. If that makes any sense to you.
I believe it's what it's called.
Say again?
I believe it's called peer-to-peer.
Yeah, P2P. That's mentioned several times in the article I read.
Right.
Peer-to-peer. They weren't using that term, but that's P2P is what I saw a number of times. And they're going to protect themselves from the communists, socialists, liberals, Democrats by only having content providers be invited to participate. So I submitted myself to get an invitation, and we shall see.
I will do the same today.
Yeah, let's get busy on that. And this is for everybody out there listening. This will be a platform that us patriots, Christians, and conservatives can make use of, and the liberals, socialists, communists, they can go pound sand as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and do it on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. What does that? Where does that term come from anyway? Pound sand. Do you have any idea?
No, I don't. To be honest with you, I've got a gut feeling it came from the old days of when footers were dug for stone buildings. The sand had to be compacted. We're talking the 1700s. I've got a feeling that's where it came from, but I don't know.
Well, I don't know either. Chances are one of our listeners does know. Well, that's kind of a side note. Well, I'm happy. The liberals are making the same mistake in the First Amendment as they're making in the Second Amendment. They're chasing They're chasing technology, and the technology is slipping between their fingers. In the First Amendment, when it comes to these platforms, in the Second Amendment, when it comes to Ghost Gunner. You and I talked about Ghost Gunner, didn't we, Tim?
Oh yeah.
For those who don't know, it's the Ghost Gunner is a machine about the size of a small microwave oven. It's not 3D printing; it's actually a milling machine to fabricate receivers for rifles, shotguns, pistols. The receiver, of course, being the only part that's considered a firearm on the firearm. Everything else has no more legal status than a number 2 lead pencil. Yeah. So it's, I go back to my friend Todd Aiken, former U.S. Congressman Todd Aiken, telling me that when he was in the Missouri State House, that there were never any Democrats, socialists, communists on the committees that had anything to do with technology. They didn't understand it.
I believe that.
They didn't like it. It was completely foreign to them. There may as well have been a committee on Egyptian hieroglyphics as far as they were concerned.
Right.
So that doesn't surprise me that the Democrats who are ignorant of technology, even the simplest forms of technology, don't understand that chasing technology in an attempt to stop firearms from being accessible to people who want them, they simply don't get it, do they?
No, they don't, John. No matter what laws are passed, let's say that the states got together and decided to do away with the Second Amendment, there's still going to be firearms in this country.
Absolutely.
There's too many of them to collect them. Too many people with the skills to build them. Even I can build a simple one. But,
right.
Unless you take away all people's tools and every shovel, every rock, every knife, there's still going to be killings. In your case, in my case, they'd have to figure out a way to disable our hands.
Right. Well, the tragedy in Florida 3 weeks ago could have been far worse with a lot simpler methods, such as stealing a large truck and waiting until a athletic event was letting out at the high school and riding 50, 60 miles an hour into 400 or 500 teenagers with a large truck. The death count would have been far, far worse than what a semi-automatic rifle could accomplish, wouldn't it?
Oh, it would have been tremendously worse. There's
Absolutely.
So many ways, John. Wait till a football game and roll a compressed chlorine in one of those tall tanks underneath the bleachers. One man can handle one of those. I used to change them. I know that one man can handle one of those. Pop off the valve and run like hell. And you're going to kill a lot of people.
Well, my recollection, not that I was around at that time, but in 1915, 1916, chlorine gas put a lot of men in the ground, didn't it?
It sure did. During World War I, it did. Tremendous amount of men.
In fact, what I've read is Adolf Hitler got a dose of poison gas himself, which is why he never authorized his soldiers to use poison gas in combat, did he?
That is correct. The way I understand the story, that is correct, John.
Yes. I also read recently that he had made an application to an art university in Vienna, and it was turned down as a student. Things might have been different if they... Uh, things might have been different if he had been accepted as a student.
Oh yeah, it would completely change history, most likely.
Most likely.
I mean,
well, that's hindsight.
yeah.
Absolutely. We all have 20/20 hindsight. I can imagine if any of the people on that committee to accept or reject student applicants, what they were thinking in 1944.
Yeah. Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about hindsight and kicking yourself in the butt.
what a lifelong burden to carry for yourself. Well, Tim, we're coming up on the first break here. Do you have any flash drives in stock?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I've got half a dozen or so ready to go right now. They're $59.95, and people can go to worldsurvival.info and click on the picture of the flash drive on the right-hand side of every page and learn all about them.
Absolutely. Well, it's a home library on a flash drive. More than 1,500 books, publications, in alphabetical order. You can go through the index at Tim's website. You'll find probably 3 or 4 dozen books and publications that you'd really like to have in your private library. Plus, a big bonus, enough storage space left over to store your important personal documents such as birth certificates, death certificates, wills, marriage certificates, real estate papers, insurance papers, medical records, and so forth. Right, Tim?
Absolutely correct. Yeah, I've got all that stuff on the one I carry in my wallet. And I don't even notice it's there. It's so light and so tiny. You know, I don't even notice the doggone things in my wallet. But I've always got it.
Well, I'm old school. I have my flash drive, but I also have a reduced size copy of my DD-214 laminated. I keep with my personal possessions at all times. But however you get it done, you need to get it done. Check out the flash drives at Tim's website. You got a call on number? You got a call in 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. As most of you know, my regular listeners, I offer energy cleaners for sale at my website. If you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, go to my website, thelibertyman.com, educate yourself about these marvelous healing devices. We focus on pain mitigation and getting a great night's sleep. Arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, doesn't matter. Keep in mind, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. Energy cleaners, $285, shipping included to American zip codes. You can educate yourself all about the energy cleaner right there at my website, the patent application, the wonderful testimonials. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads to go with the energy cleaner. Now, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. I have a toll-free order line, or you can order it right at my website at thelibertyman.com. The toll-free order line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 8th of March, visiting with Tim Spencer, the proprietor of ruralsurvival.info and a fellow radio talk show host here at Republic Broadcasting. Tim, tell people how they can listen to your show live and the archives, if you would, please, sir.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are on, we being my wife, Lori, and I, from 10 a.m. till noon Central Time every Saturday morning. We talk about just about anything. Most shows, we don't have a guest. We just have open lines, and we have a blast doing it. However, this week, this Saturday, we're going to be talking about winemaking, specifically elderberry wine. Not the full 2 hours, probably only an hour of the show. But from what we heard, there's some interest in that. And my good friend Rick here in Missouri is going to sort of lead the discussion on that. And he makes award-winning elderberry wine. So
Award-winning? Award-winning elderberry wine?
Yes.
Really? All right.
So,
I had no idea Rick had that talent. What a talented guy. All right.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be really fun, you know.
It will be, yeah. If I'm available to listen, I'm going to listen myself. That's going to be a great show. I need to remind people, if they intend on going to the Hear the Watchman conference in Dallas, where I will be the keynote speaker, go to my website to get the promotion code to get $20 off the ticket price. So go to my website, thelibertyman.com, to get the promotion code for Hear the Watchman conference. Well, that's great, Tim. Elderberry wine. I'm sure it'll be a popular show, and I want to encourage people to listen to every Saturday from 10 a.m. till noon Central Time, and to the archives also. Do you have both the YouTube archives and the RBN archives, Tim?
Yes, and also Freedom Tube also. And soon we'll be uploading to Mike Adams' new site, too. So just like your show will be.
Well, it sounds like
Mike's... we're going to be on about...
Right.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say that we'll be on at least 3 platforms.
Okay. Well, it sounds like Mike is still testing his new platform, and I don't know how close it is to being up and running, but the testing procedure has begun, and I'm certainly looking forward to having an alternative to YouTube, which I was on. Tim, it's been, 5 or 6 years ago I was kicked off YouTube for violation of community standards. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do. And the country of Germany is the one that pushed you being kicked off.
The German government?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, that's who did it.
Really?
I bet you knew that.
If I don't recall that, but I'll take that as a compliment.
Oh, absolutely. But for some reason, they're leaving you alone now. I haven't seen anything come through.
Well, I know where they live. Well, I take it as a compliment to have an entire to have John Moore out in the hills of the Ozarks, 45-minute drive from the nearest red, green, and yellow traffic signal, with neighbors who don't even have flush toilets, living on a gravel road. That I came to the intention of the government of Germany on the other side of the planet. That's a real compliment.
Yeah, but that's what it was. How dare you tell the truth about Muslims? I think that was the main reason. They never specified. And then they said there was copyright infringement. And
well, we had some issues with some of my bumper music did have playing 60 seconds of something. Technically, it's a copyright violation, and there's certainly some gray area with the fair use doctrine, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, there is. That fair use doctrine is great. On one hand, it's a double-edged sword, though. It'll get the content creators as well as the people that are using the copyrighted material. It cuts both ways. It really does.
Well, I had, after that interaction with Germany, I had to illuminate some of my favorite bumper music. The private detective TV shows from the 60s and 70s and things like that. It was a nuisance, but we got through it, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we absolutely did.
Yep.
Not a problem.
Well, that's the country of Germany came after John Moore. That's well, so be it. So be it. You and I have hammered on the Muslims and their bizarre, freakish, barbaric, dangerous religion for quite a few years, haven't we?
Yeah. And people don't like it when you tell the truth, John. That's the bottom line. Well,
all I need to do to be called Islamophobic is quote the Quran and quote imams. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do is quote their own people, quote their own historically religious holy books. Here's our break. We'll be back with Tom Berryhill. Stay tuned.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our Energy Cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the Energy Cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the Energy Cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Thursday, the 8th day of March, year of our Lord 2018. Welcome to the John Moore Show. It's, I wouldn't call it breaking news, but the headline on Drudge right now has to do with the special counsel, special investigator Mueller, looking into the possibility that Eric Prince, the head of Blackwater, which has changed names several times, the private security firm, arranged a meeting with people related to the Trump campaign to the Russians after Donald Trump got elected. After he got elected. That's not news at all, but we can talk more about that. Prepper tip of the day. I want to encourage you, all of you, to make sure every member of your team has, listen carefully, I've never mentioned this before, an inflatable life jacket. An inflatable life jacket. The better ones you can inflate by mouth or with a CO2 cartridge where you just pull on a lever or a handle and they self-inflate. It could be a matter of life and death to have one if you're doing operations around water. Falling into a body of water wearing 50 or 60 pounds of equipment is not a good thing. But the inflatable life jacket could probably save your life in that kind of situation. We have a patient waiting in the green room, my friend Tim Spencer. Tim is a husband, a father, a grandfather, a rancher, veteran of the United States Navy Submarine Corps, where he was, in fact, a submariner and a bubblehead, and proprietor of the excellent website ruralsurvival.info. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, John. How you doing this morning, buddy?
Outstanding. Looking forward to a sunny, late winter day. But all things considered, compared to what they got up in the Northeast, I'm not complaining. How about you?
No, not a bit. In fact, I opened the front door as I scooted down the stairs to get myself some coffee this morning, and it is truly beautiful out there. It's cold, but it's beautiful.
It is, absolutely. Well, Tim, there's two things I want to cover today. We'll start with the non-matter of Eric Prince, and what they're talking about there, and then move on to what Mike Adams is doing with launching a new platform. I was talking to my lovely wife, Dr. Moore, this morning about Eric Prince, and I told her that it's expected, it's normal. What's supposed to happen is when a new president is elected, is to immediately open up lines of communication with the major powers, such as Russia, China, England, France, Germany. That's expected. That's normal. That's what's supposed to happen, isn't it?
That is correct. Absolutely.
So why is it new? And you can help yourself and help Republic Broadcasting. Okay. Well, Tim, you've been using the Energy Cleaner now. This is year number 8, I believe, isn't it?
8 or 9. I'm not sure which.
I think it's
somewhere
8.
right near.
I think it was 2010 that we got started on it. It's been quite a ride where you went from being a semi-invalid to getting your health and strength back, just continued using the prescription pain meds, started getting unexpected to myself anyway, pancreatic function back. Although limited, you were obviously getting some pancreatic function back. I was just talking to the mother of a little girl yesterday who has type 1 diabetes, which up until not too long ago was a death sentence. Almost nobody 30, 40 years ago lived to be an adult with type 1 diabetes. But now she's been using Energy Cleaner for, let's see, this is March. I guess this is the 3rd month. Her sugar levels are in the normal range, and she's taking almost no insulin. Almost no insulin.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, the parents could not be happier, and I'm happy also that we've been able to help this little girl with her situation there. We focus on 2 things with the Energy Cleaner. We focus on pain mitigation and getting a great night's sleep. Pancreatic function is a bonus. It's been a bonus for you, Tim. It's been obviously a bonus for this little girl. She's a sweet little girl, maybe 7 or 8 years old. I don't know how old she is. Normal in every way except those sugar level things. And we're in the business of helping people here, aren't we, Tom?
That's it, John, and we've done our best to get these energy cleaner systems set up worldwide. There's people all over the world using these, and we've had pretty good success with the pain issues, yes.
We have. The percentage of Americans who have joint pain, arthritis pain, back pain, especially people over age 50, it's a pretty substantial percentage, isn't it, there, Tim?
Yeah, it is. It is. And, I looked at my own case. I can't hardly stand to think about what my life would be like without that critter. I mean, yeah, I still have aches and pains. I've got arthritis. I've got it pretty bad in my neck. But, I can't imagine what life would be like without it now. I really can't.
Right. Well, we have a pretty good idea what it would have been, don't we?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah, it was a predictable course. Now, for you new listeners, it's radio. I refer to talk radio as a classroom with a revolving door at the back. Always new people coming in the door. So, despite this being year number 8, where Tim has graciously agreed to come on the radio and talk with people once a week, despite it being year number 8, there's people listening right now on March the 8th, 2018, who've never heard Tim Spencer or John Moore or Tom Berryhill, and they're thinking, what's this energy cleanser, energy machine? What are these guys talking about? Right, Tom?
Oh, yeah, John, it happens all the time. In fact, I hear from people that received information secondhand about it because their relative, friend, or neighbor started getting their life back relative to pain issues, and they're getting out and around, and they want one of those energy boxes or energy machines or whatever you call that thing. I want one just like it for my own use.
Right. Well, that's expected. That's normal. And word of mouth is the best advertising. Good results is the best advertising. I've got a retired airline pilot in Hawaii who is all pumped up on energy cleaner. I've lost track of how many he's bought. He's buying, at the moment, he's buying one every 10 to 12 days. And airline pilots tend to have friends and associates all over the planet, don't they, Tim?
Oh, yeah, definitely. No question about that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it doesn't surprise me that, based on his personal experience and his recommendation, airline pilots have an elevated status in our society. They're looked at as being intelligent, resourceful, talented, trustworthy, and a commercial airline pilot does have an elevated status in our society, doesn't he, Tim?
Oh, yeah. And some of them I know, it makes me kind of question why, but overall, they're really a bunch of good guys.
They are, and it's a tremendous responsibility to sit there in the front end of one of those big Boeing aircraft with responsibility for the lives of hundreds of people, literally hundreds of people.
Oh yeah,
behind you there. It's an awesome responsibility. In fact, I haven't seen. There was a movie made about the pilot who put his Boeing into the water there in Washington, D.C.
The nickname is Scully. I think his last name is something like Skullenberger or something like that.
Right. And I think the name of the movie was that. What was the actor's name? Well-known actor. But isn't that the name of the film, Scully? I think
it might be.
Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks was the actor, but regardless, he's having a lot of fun with this. The retired airline pilot in Hawaii. He's also a pastor, by the way, and he is not the exception. He's becoming the norm, where men and women all over this country are buying their third, fourth, fifth, and even more units. Few people will reach the level of Diane Zerger, who's bought, I think, 12 or 15 of these units so far. But it's becoming more and more common for people to be buying their third, fourth unit for our siblings, children, parents, and so forth, isn't it, Tom?
Oh, yeah, it goes on all the time, John, and has for many years. We've been producing these for over 18 years now. So there's quite a few out there in use, and many people will set up almost like a fleet of energy cleaners to help their entire family.
Right. Well, here at my mother-in-law's home, there's, I think, 4 energy cleaners set up on 2 beds and on 2 chairs in the living room, and we make sure that the people that need to get exposure to those signals get exposure to signals. Ladies and gentlemen, the energy cleaner is an electronic healing device. It puts out an electrostatic signal. It's not a Rife machine, not a TENS unit. Puts out an electrostatic signal. That signal goes to every cell in your body, flushing out toxins, bringing in fresh nutrition. That's how it works. Very simple. No on-off switch, no gauges, no dials. Simply one LED light alternately flashing red or green, letting you know 2 things. First of all, it's working. Second of all, it's changing polarity. Inside the energy cleaner are 9 D as in Delta, 9 D-cell batteries. That's the full power. If you're really toxic with too many heavy metals or chemicals, many people that with those conditions have to take out 6 batteries, leaving behind 3 to cut down the power of the energy cleaner. So the detoxification, called the Herxheimer effect, will be dramatically reduced, and you can tolerate it. In fact, Tim, your wife was experiencing some Herxheimer's when she was using it, wasn't she?
Well, yeah, what happened was she broke her shoulder and had to have surgery on it. Well, apparently they pump a bunch of pain medicine into that joint. Whatever kind it is, I don't know, but it's supposed to last a week or so. And we put that energy cleaner, I did it. I made a pad for her shoulder and hooked it up, and she was sound asleep when I put it on her. And it wasn't 5 minutes before she was awake saying how much her shoulder was hurting. And I attributed that to it drawing all that pain medicine out.
Right. Well, I've seen this myself. My wife, usually she can only tolerate 3 batteries at a time herself. She's very sensitive. Sometimes I refer to her jokingly as there was a parable, the princess and the pea, the princess who could feel a hard pea through 10 mattresses. Well, that's my wife. God bless her. And so we run her energy cleaner at 3 batteries rather than 9. But that gets her results, and that's all that matters, right, Tom?
Yeah, that's it, John. And for anybody that's got an energy cleaner and is wondering about this, the 3 batteries will operate the unit, but not at full power, and they can be in any one of the 3 rows. So if the lamp on the energy cleaner is blinking, it's working, but at a reduced power.
I got a thoughtful note just now from our engineer, Sully, the pilot who put that plane down in the Hudson River in D.C., in New York, not Washington, D.C. And it's on my list of films. In fact, movie night starts, I believe, next Friday at the American Legion in Davisville, and we'll put that film on our list of films to be watched. It's a very heartwarming story about a man who was in a life-threatening situation with I don't know how many hundred lives sitting on that Boeing commercial airliner. Well, ladies and gentlemen, getting back to the energy cleaner, the patent application information is right there at my website. The testimonials from people we know, like Steve Whitman, is there. And if you want to check it out, everything's at my website at thelibertyman.com. You can place your order right there for an energy cleaner and a mattress pad, and use PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. You need to send a check or a money order. My address is right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. And I have a toll-free order line. I make it as easy as I can, 24 hours a day. Toll-free order line. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Tom, I'll be taking inventory later today of my energy cleaners. I think I may be down to 1 or 2 left since I picked up 10 from you last week.
Well, you're moving right along, John. That's good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That'll be 10 more people that are going to get quite a bit of pain relief.
Well, what we found out with Steve Whitman is, anybody who has a spouse or significant other, usually they sleep on the same bed. The significant other gets the relief also, don't they, Tim?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, I got
Steve
one
Whitman.
of those mattress pads from you, and that was the smartest thing I ever did.
Right. Well, Steve Whitman found this out. His lovely wife was suffering from lupus, and the unexpected, unintended consequence of Steve Whitman using the energy cleaner was that his wife had a complete recovery from lupus. Unexpected, but certainly welcome, right, Tom?
Oh yeah, that really was an amazing story, John. You would have never expected something like that, but it did happen, and she's in total remission from lupus. It's great.
It is. Well, my goal is to have Steve on once a month to talk about his new novel, or novels as they get generated and get published, and also talk about his experience, which it turns out his first novel is taking on a life of its own. His novel titled Winning Life's Lottery. And that popularity in sales is word of mouth once again, isn't it, Tim?
Yeah, it seems to be. But Steve is actually being acknowledged by his peers as a very good writer. You know, people ought to take a look at the reviews on Amazon for his books. You know, I'd say 10 to 1, they're extremely positive.
Oh, yeah.
He has turned into a fantastic writer.
All that talent just hidden from himself and the world all those years until I encouraged Steve Whitman to say, I said, Steve, you should write this up and put it on Tim Spencer's website. I think it would be a good thing. And he thought about it, and he did it. And as they say, the rest is history, isn't it, Tim?
It is. It is. Yeah, well, I had him on my show a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about all kinds of stuff. The energy cleaner only briefly, but, mainly about his books and about his fish camp up there in Maine. And that was one of the fastest 2 hours we ever had on that show. It was incredible.
Well, I refer to Steve Whitman to his face publicly as a civilized Crocodile Dundee.
Right.
So if you can imagine a Crocodile Dundee character who was not quite so rough around the edges, that's Steve Whitman, isn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say so. I'd say that's a very accurate description, John.
Absolutely. Here's our break. You got a question or comment, give us a call at 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 8th of March. Tim and Tom, I loaned an energy cleaner to a couple at my church. They're gardeners, organic gardeners, and they have tomato seedlings. I believe they're tomato seedlings. They split into two groups. One group is getting the energy cleaner signal, the other is not. Both given the same amount of sunlight, same amount of water, same potting soil, and so forth. And it's going to be a fun experiment. But, Tim, we already know what the outcome is going to be, don't we, sir?
As long as they don't have that thing grounded accidentally, we know exactly what's going to happen.
And what would that be?
Get 2-to-1 growth on those tomato plants that have the energy cleaner.
That's right. That's right. Well, we know that in advance. They don't. That's why they're doing it. And I invite the doubting Thomases, don't you, Tom?
Oh, yeah, John. Yes. They just need to try it. Anybody involved in gardening or any type of vegetable production would find this incredible. And it's real simple to, once you get the seedlings going, get them in the ground or in your greenhouse or whatever. Then you want to use some chicken wire and use those fence posts, T-posts with the holes that are in them, and electric fence insulators, and you can easily set up a grid of that chicken wire to suspend over the top of the plants, and the rapid growth will be taking place the entire time that plant's in the ground.
Absolutely. Well, it's another use for the energy cleaner. All living things, whether it's a tomato plant, a puppy dog, or a human being, we're all electrical beings, aren't we, Tom?
Yes, all the cells, they're electrical in nature, and they need to have the proper operating conditions. And all we're really doing is, in simplest terms, is giving a set of jumper cables to any cells that are weak, and any cells that are operating properly don't need the boost, but it's there if they need it.
Now, Tom, you have diagnostic equipment that can measure the electrical activity in tomato plants, don't you?
Well, I measure on each energy cleaner, John, as they're produced, I measure the field that's output from the unit, and I use what's called an electrometer. It's an extremely sensitive voltmeter. In fact, they're so sensitive. I have one that has an analog needle, and I have a digital readout unit. These are very expensive instruments, and it will actually pick up the field from almost across the room. In fact, I set up a grid in front of the digital. It's a Keithley. I can't remember the model number now, but it's made by Keithley Instruments. And I took a 9-volt radio battery and just got near that wire grid that I set up and touched the positive pole, and it indicated positive voltage through the air. And then I touched the negative pole, and it indicated negative voltage. And that's basically what the energy cleaner is doing. Yeah. Oh,
well, yeah. There's no doubt you can measure the signal from the energy cleaner. I'm asking about measuring the electric activity inside a tomato plant.
Well, that same instrument could do the same thing, John. That's not a problem.
Well, I'm just letting people know.
Oh yeah, there's electrical energy. It's going on in every living
and it
being.
Can be measured. And it can be measured.
It can.
Okay, that's it. Tom, thank you, sir.
Thanks, John.
We'll talk privately soon. I need to get some more energy cleaners. Tim, hold over. We'll do some more radio.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, great. Top of the hour break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 8th of March. The prep tip of the day, I want to encourage all of you to make sure every member of your team has an inflatable life jacket. An inflatable life jacket. You can find these on Amazon.com. I don't believe I have any on my John Survival and Tactical Gear yet. I probably need to get some posted there. And I've seen some on eBay as well. That's your prepper tip of the day. It can be literally a matter of life and death. So make sure every member of your team has an inflatable life jacket. Okay, in our second hour here, Tim Spencer is back with us, the second hour. We do have open lines. If you've got a question or comment, give us a call at 800-313-9443. The life, Tim, in the news cycle of this alleged Russian collusion is a sight to behold. It gets fired up, it goes away. It gets fired up, it goes away. I would think that many in the public are getting a bit tired of this. What do you think, sir?
They've done polls, and the public as a whole is getting very tired of this. I think that the majority of people with half a brain have come to the conclusion. I forgot who coined the term, but this whole thing is a nothing burger, and there's just nothing to it.
Right.
And it's a tremendous waste of money, of taxpayers' money, just to have this investigation. This guy Mueller, I don't remember how many lawyers he's got working for him, but it's a bunch, and and they're drawing lawyers' fees for doing it.
They are, absolutely. They are.
It's a tremendous waste of money.
Well, the speculation I'm hearing now is that the goal of Mr. Mueller is to drag this out to have an adverse effect for Republicans in the upcoming elections this coming fall. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's his goal. It wouldn't surprise me if this investigation didn't last the entire first term of President Trump. It really wouldn't surprise me. It gives CNN and MSNBC and the other ilk like them fodder to feed to the masses and spin whichever way they want to spin it to make the president look as bad as possible. Just like this whole thing of, Russian collusion. Well, the man is supposed, as we stated last hour, the man is supposed to make contact with the Russians and the Chinese,
Well,
everybody.
Right. There's about 1 American in 50,000 who's had anywhere near the level of experience in investigating civil and criminal matters that I've got. Maybe 1 in 100,000 might be more accurate. My first civil investigation, trial preparation, if you will, was 1972, a complex, lengthy, expensive federal antitrust lawsuit. And I've had hundreds, literally hundreds, of investigations, both civil and criminal, since then, the past 46 years. Some of them very lengthy, some of them very complex, and some of them with the most egregious consequences up in the civil area, up to $100 million being at risk, and in the criminal area, people's lives themselves being at risk. So I'm no stranger. I'm no stranger at all to what investigations are, what it takes to accomplish one, what it takes to be successful. I never had the resources of the FBI at my fingertips. I've worked with the FBI on several matters, but I never had any control over the world-class investigative capabilities of the FBI, the Department of Justice. But even with the limited resources I had available to myself, limited as they were, I know what I could accomplish in a reasonably short period of time, up to a year. I never worked a murder case that took more than a year to do trial preparation on, and that would be more the norm than not for a complex murder case involving a lot of investigation, locating witnesses, taking statements, finding evidence, and so forth. A year would be about the norm for a complex murder, homicide investigation. Well, it's been more than a year, and these men and women working for Mr. Mueller, they have resources I could only dream of in terms of investigators, forensics, access to subpoena power, almost without limit.
Right.
And what have they got? A big nothing burger. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
A big nothing burger.
Exactly.
I would be so if I was assigned to this and I came up with what these guys have, I think I may change my name and leave the country. I would be so humiliated.
Right. I understand what you're saying. I agree.
You know, but they don't. If they feel any humiliation, it's certainly not evident. If they feel any embarrassment, it's certainly not evident. They move forward as if what they're doing is normal and reasonable and professional, when in the eyes of somebody like myself who has 46 years experience in complex litigation, they're a joke. They're an absolute joke, Tim. That's what they are to me.
Oh, I agree. And if you notice, the only things that they have charged anyone with is lying. You know, basically, I don't know if you call it perjury, but lying to the FBI or whatever. That's the only thing that anybody's been actually charged with.
Right. And that's grasping at straws. That is really. I recall some of the, when I was doing a lot of criminal investigations, there were certain police departments that they've cleaned up their act, so I won't mention them. There's no sense in humiliating them since they have cleaned up their act. But there were certain police departments that way too commonly, one of the more frequent charges we found was resisting arrest and no other charge. And no other charge.
I've seen that personally many, many times.
And when you see that, once in a while, yeah, I could see that happening. But when it happens over and over and over again, if you're in the system like I was, if you're in the system, you know that you're seeing the consequences of bad leadership in the police department, poor training, poor command and control. And that's what I'm seeing here. This is similar to what they're coming up with. It's similar to resisting arrest. It's the first question. If I'm sitting across the interview table from somebody charged with resisting arrest, my first question is, what was the probable cause? What was the probable cause to even initiate the arrest? And usually it's something that has nothing to do with reality in terms of violating anything in the Missouri Criminal Code.
Exactly. I've seen it happen so many times. And their definition of resisting now has become, I don't know what the word is.
Nebulous. Nebulous.
Yeah, that's the word, yes. I mean, if they think you're pulling back on your arm when they go to handcuff you, that's resisting.
Right.
If you ask why you're under arrest, that's resisting.
Right. Well, there are people who, when you put the steel bracelets on, it really, really hurts. I mean, there's some people who are extremely sensitive in that part of their body. So, of course, they're going to pull away and say, oh, that hurts. Well, if it hurts, it hurts.
Right. And that's resistance.
I was thinking that when the Republicans released their memorandum, it's been about a month ago now, I believe. I was hoping, finally we can put this thing to rest. But that obviously has not happened. It needs to happen. We need to put this behind us and move on. Now, the movers and shakers of Washington, D.C., they know what you and I, us barefoot hillbillies in the Ozarks, they know what you and I know. They know that this is a nothing burger on both sides, don't they, Tim?
Oh, sure they do. Everybody does. It's purely political. Everybody knows it. The only people that don't seem to catch on is CNN and MSNBC and even Fox occasionally. I don't trust any of them. I don't watch any of them.
No. Well, Fox
I'll watch CNN.
And the rest. Yeah. Well,
The only time I watch CNN is for a natural disaster because they're usually first on the spot with the cameras.
right. Well, let's do a segue back to an earlier part of our conversation, and that's Mike Adams and his new platform. I'm really enthusiastic about what Mike has done. I have great hope that it will help us all achieve our mutual goal of having a viable, excellent platform that the communists can't get their hands on. And what I've read so far leads me to believe that this certainly will be the case. Mike Adams is a brilliant young man who does really good work, and the trolls that operate, or the communists that run YouTube, and I don't know what else to call them except communists, they've showed their true colors. Mike Adams is, I've read and watched a lot of his work. Mike Adams tells the truth in a respectful way, using good sources. He doesn't get into name calling or making things up or getting carried away with emotion. It's just good journalism, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Actually, I really like his writing style, too. You know, he lays the situation out in usually a fairly non-accusatory way. And, yeah, I like his writing, and I like, you know, the fact that he backs up everything he says with sources. You know,
absolutely.
That part I really appreciate.
He has a scientific background to get into areas of science and medicine that few people really understand at the level he understands it, and that's been his primary focus, is health-related matters on one hand. On the other, he's quite talented in the geopolitical areas as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He is. You know, and I attribute a lot of that. You know, people might not know this about Mike, but he's lived in different countries besides the U.S. He's gotten out there and seen the world. And when I say lived there, I don't mean a vacation. I mean actually lived in other countries. And
right.
So he's got a good handle on the world situation.
Well, it does give you a different perspective. And my short time in Prague last summer opened up my eyes to a few things. I hope to be back in Prague this coming September. We shall see. Professor McCanney has spent a number of years living in foreign countries, mostly south border, but and I don't know where all his travels have taken him. But it does change your perspective to be in foreign lands for more than just 2 weeks laying on a beach, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It does. When you've got to interact with the economy, you've got to interact with your neighbors who are locals. Yeah, it changes your perspective in big time. You know, you understand the struggles that they are having. You know, and you figure out real quick, well, this isn't what the news shows me is happening in this country, but you learn real quick what's really going on.
Exactly. Well, like I say, I submitted my application to Mike's platform. It is real.video to participate in this, and I'm looking forward to getting a positive response and this whole platform moving forward, so all of us can participate in that and have something to take the place of YouTube. YouTube's been a wonderful platform to help millions of people get information, but it's lived its life. It's time to move on and establish a new platform that the communist, socialist, Democrats cannot tamper with, isn't it, Tim?
It is. It is. You know, it's just like when you and I were talking privately the other night. It's just a matter of time before you and I both are booted off YouTube. It's going to happen.
Right.
It's just, you know, they're going after the big names first.
Well, they are, and it reminds me when I ran for U.S. Congress in 1996 against Dick Gebhardt, when it was revealed that in the Republican primary that I was picked out by Gebhardt to go after, and all the other 8 candidates in the primary, they all wanted to be picked on by Gebhardt also, because it was a badge of accomplishment that I was the candidate looked at as the most threatening by Dick Gebhardt, that he would go to the extent of committing a crime of accessing my credit report without authority. So the other 8 candidates, they all wanted to have that status as well. Of course, none of them did. None of them did. If only the voters had figured out the same thing, that John Moore was the only perceived viable threat in that election. The other 8 candidates were not. I didn't win the primary, and in hindsight, that's probably what needed to happen, because my life wouldn't have gone in the direction that it's gone. And if it had gone the other direction, Tim, I would be up in Washington, D.C. right now with people like Maxine Waters. Oh, what a treat that would be.
That's enough to cause somebody to resign. Can you imagine having to sit in a committee next to her? 2 feet away.
I would not wish that.
Not me.
I would not. No. I would figure out a way to not be in close proximity to her, hopefully. But being in proximity to that kind of ignorance and so forth is not my idea of fun. But that didn't happen, so it's really not a concern. I did not get elected to U.S. Congress. So, Tim, this new platform, tell us about the other one you're already making use of, what the name of it is and what they're doing.
Sure. Well, the easiest way for folks to get there and look at it is go to my website, ruralsurvival.info. Right in the middle of the main page, there's a graphic you click on, and that takes you to freedom.social. Now, what this platform is a video platform. It's a social networking platform, and it is like a classified ads listing. And I'll tell you.
Okay, let's continue that after the break, Tim. We'll continue this part of our conversation after the break.
Sure.
Call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 8th day of March, into the second week of March already. How about that? Visiting with Tim Spencer. We're talking about all kinds of things. You got a question or a comment? We do have open lines at 800-313-9443. Tim, before the break, you were talking about freedom.social. Let's continue that, sir.
Right. Okay, well, I think this website was developed by Mr. Kent Lewis the way I understand things, in an attempt to present some direct opposition to the, quote, New World Order. And he's done a fantastic job. They also have what they call 1776 tokens, which people can buy for 25 cents each, and they can be used on the what's called Freedom Market, which is like a classified ad site where you can buy various things. I've got my flash drives listed on there also. But anyway, the platform itself is free to use. You know, I think they give you 10 of these 1776 tokens just for signing up. And, you know, it's a good thing. You know, I don't have any illusions that this has a better chance of failing than it does of being successful, but it doesn't cost anything to play with it. And the only reason I said that is because, you know, there's no real big names involved in this. There's a lot of people uploading videos to it, like Greg Hunter, and first one I thought of, I think InfoWars is uploading to it. X22 Report, you know, our mutual friend Dave, he's uploading to it. I mean, so it might take off, it might not. I just don't know. But it doesn't cost anything to play with it.
All right. Well, it sounds like something that needs to be looked into. It's this technology that we're experiencing. It all took off in the mid-'90s. I think I got my first email account about, would have been about 1995, 1996, along there, using a primitive form of internet access called web TV, which was a black box and a keyboard that let you use your TV set and the telephone line to connect to the internet. Now, I actually made use of that for probably 4 or 5 years before I finally gave up and got a real internet connection. But regardless, this technology is rapidly changing our world, all this technology. I was reading recently, Chum, that people in England, and I'm sure it's happening in this country as well, they're finding out that 5-year-olds, 5 and 6-year-olds, don't have the strength in their hands and fingers to properly hold a pencil because they've never made use of those muscles. That's pretty scary, isn't it?
It is. You know, and I look at my own grandchildren. Now, thankfully, they're not allowed to be online constantly. But, you know, it's almost like an addiction with them. You know, battery's dead on the tablet. My little 4-year-old granddaughter has a fit. But, you know, that's just life. And talking about big technology is advanced, I'm just reading a headline here. On Zero Hedge, first U.S. real estate transaction in blockchain completed. What's next? And it goes on to say that Vermont is heading towards blockchain recording of real estate transactions. And the next 2 states, I believe they said, was Colorado and Arizona that are going to be kicking this in. So no more paper deeds, I guess.
Really? I don't see that happening in Missouri anytime soon.
I never did. No, we're 20 years behind everybody, and I'm not looking forward to it. I like the idea of a paper deed.
Well, these leather-bound volumes go back to pre-Civil War era, back to the 1820s or so.
I've made use. Starts 1850.
I've made use in research projects of these leather-bound volumes. They're large, they're heavy, and they're permanent. And I like that.
I do too.
We went through a period of time transitioning from wood courthouses to stone and brick courthouses to make sure that archives were properly protected. I know I visited many courthouses in Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee. Almost all of them are built in a manner that they can't burn down. They're all concrete and stone and brick, and they have vaults set aside to preserve the court documents, the real estate documents, and so forth. I hope that that will not be the case for Missouri, that they will go to these electronic ways of storing information. That's not wise at all.
Well, I agree with you, John, 1,000%.
Yeah, I do hear music. Here's our bottom of the hour break. Call number is 800-313-9443.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 8th of March. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. Lots of interesting things there. I've been working with Tim to reorganize some of the items there so they're more consolidated when it comes to the violent earth changes that our planet is going through. My presentation in Dallas at the end of near the end of this month will have to do with that. Part of that involves all of you, and that's all of you who've been finding the images of continents with new coastlines. We have another one ready to be posted. I need to talk to Tim about getting that up there. And the list continues to grow here in 2018. If you find one yourself, an image on a TV show or a movie of a continent with new coastlines, get that screen capture to me. I'll get it posted. You get your choice of any of my 5 DVDs as a thank you. Also, of course, our energy cleaners. We talked for 24 minutes last hour about the energy cleaner. Check out the energy cleaner. This is my home business. When you place your order, I box them up. I take them to a little country post office in Cherryville where they have an all-you-can-eat catfish buffet on Friday evenings for $8. How about that? Only $285 shipping included for the energy cleaner. Yes, I do offer, from me to you personally, a 90-day money-back guarantee on the energy cleaner. That's what I do, from me to you. So check it out. Check out the energy cleaner. Check out the mattress pads. And you can call my toll-free line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Tim Spencer, the proprietor of ruralsurvival.info. And it's a place where you can learn anything and everything there is to know about hobby farms, right, Tim?
Well, between the downloads and the articles, I would say that is a very fair assumption, John. We've got hundreds of those, all completely free to use.
Absolutely. Well, people need to check out ruralsurvival.info. Tim, we're talking about technology, and there's a lot of speculation about where this is going. I was talking to somebody yesterday about graphic novels, and I said, "Oh yeah, books for people who can't read." But that's what, and in my opinion, is shared by many others. Not everybody, obviously. Oh, yeah. You're entitled to your own opinion. I call them comic books just to get a little dig into people who think that graphic novels are great.
Right.
I personally want nothing to do with graphic novels. I recall when I was in Vietnam, Tim, they had graphic novels. They were typically in a format similar to a comic book, but they had graphic novels were very popular in Vietnam because the level of literacy there was pretty low, to say the least, and they were quite popular. And for the same reason, the graphic novels are growing in popularity in this country. What do you think, sir?
I think you're right. I really do. You know, I don't remember when or what it was I was reading, but I remember how surprised I was at the lack of literacy in some of our bigger cities. You know, like only 70% of the population, I think it was Detroit, it could have been Baltimore or Chicago. I remember saying like 71% of the people can read at a functional level. You know, and my question is, what do those other 29% do that can't? How do they survive?
I don't know. Men and women who are illiterate or semi-literate, it's a hard life that they've got ahead of them. And my heart goes out to them. Usually, it's not their fault. It's the fault of these public schools. If the parents are illiterate, they can't possibly have any hope of teaching their their people what needs to be taught.
Right.
It's a shame. It's a tragedy.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
you know, and there's no excuse for it nowadays. Back 20 years ago, John, I got hired to teach a man who at the time was 75 years old how to read. He had to quit school in third grade, or at the beginning of his third grade year, to work to help support his mother and his brother and sister. And that was through no fault of his own. But the man was right at genius level, you know, in my opinion, and him learning to read only consisted of teaching him phonics. Once he got that down, he was gone.
Right.
I mean, he was out of there like a shot.
Tim, I need to ask you, something's come up here that I need to take care of for about 3 minutes. Can you carry the show for about 3 to 4 minutes for me, please?
Oh, I'd be happy to.
Okay, thank you. I'll be back as quick as I can.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, call-in number is 1-800-313-9443, 1-800-313-9443. This is Open Lines today. John's having to take a break for a couple of minutes. One headline I wanted to convey to everybody, I planned on doing this with John. I found this encouraging. This is a headline on Zero Hedge. The liberal world order is in jeopardy. Global populism rises to highest level since World War II. Now, what that headline tells me, folks, is people are getting smart. They're basically figuring out that this idea of a new world government is a crock, that it will hurt them, not help them in their individual lives. So, you know, that's something to think about. That is a hopeful headline. And let's hope this continues on a global basis. We already see it happening in Sweden, in Germany, in the United Kingdom, and pretty much throughout the European Union. Look at Poland, for an example. You know, they flat out said no to all these refugees coming in and trashing their culture. So this is a hopeful sign, and we can hope it continues. Anyway, folks, calling number 800-313-9443. Okay, John.
I'm back, Tim. Thank you for carrying that. That was
not a problem.
An issue that was resolved pretty easily. Well, I agree with you, Tim. I find it, and I've said this before, I find it ironic and very gratifying that the former East European communist countries are the standing tall and standing firm against the Muslim invasion, with the exception of Germany, of course, which was partly east and partly west. And Angela Merkel did manage to get herself reelected. Do you think that was a fair and free election for Angela?
The way their system is set up, I've never really considered it free and fair, John. It's basically who has the majority in their parliament. And she did some backroom deals, no doubt, and got what she wanted. But, the way I understand things, it's not like this country where we vote for a person. Now, I could be wrong, but that's the way I understand it. If I'm wrong, tell me, John. But the way I understand it is they vote for a group, a party.
Right. It's a system that's certainly different than ours. But we've got Hungary, Czech Republic, Poland, others. I'm not sure about this. I think Austria is standing up, aren't they?
Romania, I think.
Romania.
Again, John?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
So it's, the entire continent, Europe is a fairly compact place. With,
it is.
People have been traveling back and forth, going to school in one country, marrying a woman from another country, establishing a business in a third country for centuries. So they all know each other. They understand each other's cultures, and they've been at war off and on for centuries as well with each other. So there's a lot of awareness in Europe over what works and what doesn't work. Awareness that Sweden is basically committing national suicide, for example. Germany is not far behind them. I have a lot of respect for the East European countries doing the right thing, protecting their people, protecting their culture, protecting their economy and their country. It's politically incorrect to talk about the inbreeding of Muslims, isn't it, Tim?
Oh, yeah. In fact, just us mentioning it could probably get this show banned on YouTube. But no, again, how dare you tell the truth? But you're right. It's either the Quran or the Hadith says, first cousin is as far away from your family as you can marry. I don't remember which one it is. I certainly don't remember chapter and verse, but I remember reading it. And
I would like to get some clarification on that. I knew it was allowed to marry your first cousin. What I was not aware of till just now is that's as far away from your immediate family as you can get, which is not correct.
I don't know if it's a recommendation. I don't remember, John, if it's a recommendation or a demand, but I remember that stated. And of course, slave girls are different. Or classified differently. That's a different thing completely. That's for pleasure.
Exactly. We got a caller on hold here. We got John in Texas. Good morning, John.
Well, hello. You're talking about Angela Merkel and the continued uncontrolled immigration into Germany.
Right.
Is this a manifestation of an ongoing attempt to bring down Europe by bringing down Germany, specifically? It has been going on
it's hard
since
to say. I'll give you my response, and Tim, you give a follow-up.
Sure.
What Merkel has said publicly is she doesn't want to be looked at as anti-immigrant or a racist due to the unfortunate events, unpleasantness of the late 1930s and 1940s. She wants to be inclusive and not be looked at as a racist or anti-immigrant because of what happened 75, 80 years ago. Tim, any follow-up?
Well, yeah, I've heard the same thing. The bottom line is Merkel almost didn't survive this election cycle because of that stance. Right now in Germany, you can be arrested, charged, arrested, fined, and or incarcerated for posting something on Facebook that does not meet the government standards for political correctness. So to answer John's question, yes, I believe this is part of a design to take down the European Union, Europe as a whole, and cause multiculturalism, multinationalism throughout the continent. That's my personal belief. So, but you asked.
Well, as a precursor to bring to what and what I understand Angela Merkel has his family has ties to the KGB. Does she?
All right, I missed that last part of what you said, John. Could you say that one more time, buddy?
Angela Merkel
have ties to the KGB.
She has ties to what?
Yes,
The
absolutely.
KGB.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was
Hello?
common
My
knowledge.
understanding, right.
Well,
My
it just
understanding
seems-
is she was part of the Secret Service in East Germany when there still was an East
No,
Germany.
actually, the Stasi, John.
Stasi,
Well, Secret
Oh.
Service, Secret Police, Stasi,
Yeah.
synonyms. Yeah.
Yes.
So is she? So what would an economic and social collapse in Germany mean for the rest of Europe, Western Europe, Eastern Europe? What?
All right, let's start with John. If there is a economic collapse, Germany will be the last country out of all the other European countries for that to occur in. Germany is actually set quite well economically, financially, a huge industry and manufacturing base. I don't see Germany collapsing before everything else does, including the UK.
Mm-hmm. Well, is there? But does the Soviet the current regime in Russia see Germany as the key to? Still see Germany as the key to the hegemony in Europe.
Well, when it was the Soviet Union, yes, okay, that was the short answer during the tenure of the Soviet Union. Now, I'll be honest with you, John, I'm not so sure. I don't think that Vladimir Putin has a great design on taking over Europe. At least what he portrays is he just wants to coexist. Now, that said, we don't know what their true plans are. We can guess. We can look at what some defectors have said for the past 40 years. We just don't know for sure.
Mm-hmm. So, and last of all, as the World War II generation, as the last of them pass on, and this event passes completely into history, is it likely that a revisionist view of it will become more acceptable to the population, and how will this affect people's present view of the world, or the United States view of the United States proper role in the world, and possible desire to disengage from a one world order?
Well, John, it's a great question, a set of questions that could take up part of a semester in a college geopolitical class, couldn't it, Tim?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. John, a short answer is the attitudes are already changing. Globally, they're changing to the detriment of the United States because of the action of about our past 5 or 6 presidents. That's the short answer. There's also several answers to what's going on inside this country right now with all the what they call the greatest generation dying off. There is a lack of morals, a lack of dedication, a lack of tenacity that is demonstrated now that was never demonstrated back in the 40s and 50s and 60s. So I hope that helps answer your question a little bit.
What I was going to know, is there any chance of the propaganda version of the Second World War being sort of torn down?
Oh, sure there is.
The myth
Look at what they've done to the War of Northern Aggression.
Not the Civil War, World War II.
Well, he's just using that for comparison. The story about World War II as it applies to the United States is so convoluted and wrong. It needs to be addressed. And I, as a member of the American Legion and the VFW, I noticed some of that happening in their publications already and have been for years. John, we're pretty much out of time here. We got a few minutes left, but thank you for your call, sir. We've got a break. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 8th of March. Tim, you got a radio show every Saturday from 10 a.m. till noon Central Time.
Right.
Do you have any guests planned for the Saturday, day after tomorrow?
Yes. Rick from Missouri, a normal, regular caller to your show, is going to be on talking about wine. And I misstated something. I went and looked back at an old email. Rick did not win any awards, but many people have told him that his wine is much, much better than people that have won awards. I mean, they've actually done comparisons side by side at his house. So
last time
I was wrong on that statement.
Last time I looked into it, a person at their home could make 5 gallons of wine without needing a permit from the federal government to make wine. In fact, you were 18 years old in the Navy before you found out you couldn't make as much whiskey at home as you wanted to, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. That's a true story. It never came up when I was a kid. Everybody made it, you know?
Uh-huh.
It just never came up that it was illegal.
Well, it's legal up to a point. Lawyer I worked with, he got a permit from the ATF to make alcohol during the oil embargo in 1973. And he did make alcohol and was running a Chevy Blazer on it back and forth from his home and his office in Clayton, Missouri. Okay. We move forward with all these issues. We continued our situational awareness, and that's one of your mantras, situational awareness, isn't it, Tim?
Oh, it is. It is. Like I tell people, you know, I don't walk by a window in my house without looking out of it. You know, I've trained myself. You know, if I get out of the parking lot at the grocery store, I'm surveying the whole area as I get out. I'm looking. You know, it's not that I'm afraid or paranoid. It just makes sense, you know, to look around. Now, we don't have any major problems around here, but, you know, in a city or even a suburban environment, you need to absolutely know what's around you. Here on the farm, you need to know if there's a black bear that's kind of cranky this morning, you know, or, you know, if there's half a dozen coyotes that are hungry and, you know, your little granddaughter looks like food to them. You know, there's still things to pay attention to here.
Right. Well, I'm the same way, obviously. And when I usually park some distance from all the other cars because I don't want my Lincoln Town car doors to be banged up by other people's doors.
Right.
You know, as I'm walking across the parking lot, I'm not only concerned about my own safety, but I'm on the lookout to make sure that the women and children are safe also. That's just my persona, who I am.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a good habit, I think, that I want to encourage everybody to be looking into. Even if you can't intervene, you could at least dial 911, couldn't you?
Oh, positively. And that's about, you know, after I've lost this leg, that's about all I could do is dial 911 unless I'm carrying. You know, I guess I could bounce around on one leg and fold up my wheelchair and hit them over the head with it, but that'd be about it.
Well, once you got your prosthesis, you'll be ambulatory again, so that won't be an issue once you get your prosthesis.
True.
Tim, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
We'll
talk privately soon. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Okay, buddy.
That's it for the day. Get your medical supplies, your energy cleaning, your essential oils now while you can, your firearms ammunition. Never, ever give up your guns. Please do have a fun, safe, productive day, and God bless America.